The murder of City of Ekurhuleni Group Divisional Head of Corporate and Forensic Audits, Mpho Mafole, has drawn strong condemnation from Parliament. The Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs is calling for swift action to bring those responsible to book. The committee says attacks on public servants threaten the integrity of governance and service delivery. The committee's chairperson, Dr Zweli Mkhize, joins us now. Baba Mkhize, very good morning to you and thank you so much for your time. So in light of the tragic murder of Ekurhuleni Senior Auditor Mpho Mafole, what is your assessment of the current state of protection, especially for officials that are looking to be whistleblowers in South Africa?
We are very concerned about this attack, and we really convey our condolences to the family and to the colleagues. Our concern is that the people such as Mr. Mafole are in the forefront in the fight against corruption, leading the investigation. It requires huge expertise, a lot of courage and determination to make sure that we uncover the truth of what happened in the cases of mismanagement and irregularities and corruption. And so we believe that a lot has to be done to protect the whistleblowers and the investigators, particularly the forensic investigators, because these are critical in the fight against corruption. It is the work and the evidence that they uncover that will ultimately lead to us being able to uproot corruption. At this point, the level of protection is a matter of concern to us. We're hearing a little bit more of these cases of people in the forefront of investigations being targeted, and this is something that is not good for in the fight against corruption.
Dr. Mkhize, I mean, you're saying that more needs to be done. You have emphasized the need for urgent reforms to safeguard whistleblowers and anti-corruption officials. What specific reforms do you think need to be prioritized at this point in time?
Well, I think people who are involved in very sensitive cases need to get additional form of protection from the criminal justice system. They need to be understood to be in a very, very risky position, and therefore their safety, the issue of getting them protected during the process of cases that they are investigating, and certain cases need to be prioritized as being risky enough for additional support to be given to them so that they're not easily found to be sitting duck when someone is targeting them. And so we think that the criminal justice system has to find a way of creating an atmosphere where people feel that they are safe and can continue without fearing of attack on their lives. And also, when it comes to cases that are running, there has to be a much stronger form of protection, legally, as well as also just to make sure that their day-to-day whereabouts are not easily tracked. And so these are some of the things that I believe would be important to safeguard those who are involved in very sensitive investigations.
Do you believe that the existing legal and institutional frameworks are sufficient to protect those who speak out against corruption?
I think a lot needs to be done because you have instances such as this one where people have been found. In the past few months, we have also had cases of people who their murders are very suspicious of being involved, of being linked to investigation and uncovering of corruption in some of the state institutions and some of the municipalities.
What do you think are the main challenges that government is currently facing in protecting anti-corruption officials from violence and intimidation?
Well, I think firstly there has to be a sense of a coordinated, program between the criminal justice system and the internal audit sections of government institutions, so that there's an understanding as to where the major risks are. If those are investigating corruption and those are investigating within the government or state entities, and those who are investigating in the criminal justice system, if they coordinate, then they will be able to identify the risks. And then, of course, I think additional support measures, protective measures would need to be looked at. What the cost of those might be an issue, but if it's all coordinated, and the information is shared within those agencies, it might assist in the process of protecting those who are at risk.
Dr. Mkhize, I mean, how does corruption itself hinder efforts to protect those that are fighting against it?
Well, the first problem I think that's important here is that there has to be support from all levels of authorities. So municipal, departmental authorities need to be able to work together to protect those or to support those who are in the forefront of the investigation. And then in addition, the criminal justice system has to be able to have a platform where everyone, they have a sight of those where the major risks are, so that they would then be able to see, sometimes those who are involved in the criminal investigations might pick up trends that are able to show that the people who are in the forefront in the investigation on the government side are the ones who are being targeted. And it's the prevention that would be helpful in this case, based on coordination and information that is shared across those agencies.
I mean, there's been a lot of comparison so far to the case of Babita Deokaran, who's also an official that was standing up against corruption. To what extent do you believe does the current environment of impunity contribute to the risks faced by whistleblowers and anti-corruption officials?
Well, the culture of impunity is one thing. There's a lot of bribery that goes on. And then, of course, in some of the instances, you then get a lot of information that gets thrown out that mislead the investigation, so that you end up with people who are involved in the investigation, some of whom get, are linked to those who are the ones who are the perpetrators of that action. And in the process, you end up with statements that you get out of people who say, well, this is the information we have. But when you go back into it, you then find that amongst those who are investigating, they are aware that some of the information that is being peddled is actually incorrect. So there has to be a way of coordinating all of that at a particular level that will ensure that people are able to cut through the chase and go to the exactly where the real information is in relation to what the source of the targeting is and who are the perpetrators at the back. In the process of doing all of that, we're able to pick up the syndicates or the cartels that are involved in the corruption, and that would end up sending some of the people who are involved are just hitmen who get paid. And the people who are at the back, who are the paymasters, are the ones that need to be actually identified.
And I mean, in identifying those, surely the role of law enforcement agencies and the judicial system would play a big role in ensuring and safeguarding whistleblowers, in us seeing the prosecuting of those who threaten them.
At the end of the day, there is a link to the death of the individuals who are investigators and those who are actually masterminding the corruption. So uncovering the entire chain is what the investigators, the police, the criminal justice system, the prosecutors, all of whom have to work together to actually see the entire spectrum so that they're able to deal with where the risks are. In this case, I think it's important to say that while someone is investigating in the government department, like in this case, Ekurhuleni, there must be someone somewhere in the criminal justice system who's fully aware of this whole matter as it's unfolding on the criminal justice investigation side. So the link across would then mean that you treat the people in the criminal justice system and those in the government as being one chain that needs to be protected with the coordination of information, so that no one side is at risk, because the one is targeted when they realize that the criminal justice system is getting closer and they know exactly where the source of the information is.
All right, Dr. Mkhize, thank you so much for your time. We certainly do hope for a breakthrough sooner than later in the case of Mafole, and certainly many of those that are in those official positions